everybody. In this video I'm going to be walking you through how to create the wheel, which is part of the model train unit on Autodesk Inventor. This is for Introduction to Engineering Design, which is part of the Project Lead the Way curriculum. The wheel is a very kind of difficult part as far as the model train goes. It's one of the more difficult parts, so it's very important that we keep a few things in mind as we move forward. First of all, make sure that each sketch that you create is fully constrained before you do anything else like fillet, extrude, revolve, whatever it is. If sketches are not fully constrained, they will lead to huge issues later on, things that you're unable to do or that they're not able to do correctly. And so just keep that in mind. Fully constrain every single sketch. Make sure that you keep your sketches simple. You're going to see in this video, for instance, this is one of the main ones that I think about whenever I add this term in, this important note. You're going to see me do things like fillets and things like that in 3D mode instead of within the actual sketches. What I've found over time is that it's easier to constrain when I don't worry about things like the fillets in 2D sketch mode. Last thing, there are many correct ways of creating 3D models. So what you're going to see here is one way. If you find a different way to do it, then fantastic. The idea of this unit is you become more independent when it comes to Autodesk Inventor anyway. So if you find different ways of creating the exact same part and the parts are dimensioned correctly and everything like that, then that's awesome. That's what we want anyway. All right, let's dig in. Ready? The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to draw a construction line down here from the origin moving outward. It really doesn't matter how long the construction line is because it's not part of the actual object anyway. So I made mine, I think, like an inch or something like that. It really does not matter. And then I'm going to simply draw this outline with a series of lines here all the way around. And I'm going to use dimensions and geometric constraints to get everything locked into place. When that thing says fully constrained and I have an outline that looks like this, then I'm good. Pay special attention to the gap that's right here and how far away it needs to be from the middle. Note that this is from the middle to the shape outward. If I'm thinking circles later on, because this is going to be the middle of the wheel, that's going to be a radius. That's going to be very important to keep in mind. After you get this shape done, before I click Finish Sketch, I need to go through and draw a circle on the top. Okay? There's no need to trim out all of these interior lines in the middle. It's not going to make any difference in the world later on in our next step. But whenever you trim that stuff out, you're going to have to re-add dimensions. So I would suggest to you that you keep it all the same, just keep it looking like this. When you have this shape created and everything is fully constrained, now it's time to go ahead and revolve around the construction line in the middle. Use the construction line as your axis. That gives you that nice hole down the middle, and it should look something like this. We're close to the correct shape. You'll notice that this is blocky in here, right? These are 90-degree angles in at these edges. That's absolutely fine. In order to get the rounded edge on the outside of the wheel, you're probably going to have to go back and select both this profile down here and then select a second time for the circle on top to make sure that it revolves as well. After you do this, after you have completed the revolve feature, then it's time to go through and add your fillets. You're going to see TYP in the dimension sheet. TYP means typical, which means every single corner that looks rounded, that looks about the same size. But the TYP tells you, yes, they are indeed. That is confirming they are the same size. So those are all the same radii. I have a fillet here, and then down at the bottom of this edge, and then I have one at the bottom of this edge and the top of this edge. So 4 different fillets that are exactly the same. That's going to give you this nice rounded face. The next step that I did is I went and I flipped around to the back side and I created a sketch on the back side. Okay? On the back surface, you're going to use a couple of, well, first things first, we need to place a horizontal construction line, and I drew it from this point out to the edge. That way I didn't have to dimension the length and it was constrained. And then I'm going to draw a couple of real lines, so uncheck the construction line option, a couple of real lines that go upward, and I used the dimension of the angles to get those locked into the correct angle. Then I drew a couple of circles, the inner circle and the outer circle, and I used those and I dimensioned those out to the correct length. And then whenever I was done with all of that and it was fully constrained, then I went through and I used the trim feature to get rid of everything but what you see on the right hand side. Be careful to keep things fully constrained. If you get rid of a piece of line, if you trim something out and it says it's no longer fully constrained, then my suggestion would be to undo that and find a different way to go about that process, or to re-add the dimension. Just make sure it's fully constrained before you move forward, which is the next step is to extrude cut. So then I can choose extrude. I should be able to choose this outline. If you aren't, you need to go back into your sketch and edit it to make sure that you have that profile completely outlined, all 4 edges, 1, 2, 3, 4. You should be able to cut all the way through, and whenever you do that, then you're going to have one hole that's in the middle of that wheel. The next step is then to circular pattern all the way around with that cutout. You're going to have 6 of these that go around the rotational axis. Any of these cylinders is fine because they all have the same center. You're going to have a wheel that looks like this. Almost done. We need that little piece that sticks off the front, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to create a sketch on this flat surface right here, a new sketch there. And I would suggest to you at that point in time that you right-click on it and you choose Slice Graphics, or you hit F7 while you're in sketch mode. And that's going to give you the cutaway so you can actually see the surface as it appears at this flat surface right here, at that work plane. You're going to place a circle that's correctly dimensioned and the correct dimensions away from the center. And you're going to hit Finish, and then you're going to extrude. Then you're going to repeat the process on the front of that circular piece that sticks out. Draw another dimension circle. Make sure that you project geometry so you can draw. If you project geometry and choose this circle right here, then you're able to lock onto the center point of the circle, which makes it easy for constraining. When you get done with that, you're going to extrude that circle, and then you're going to do it one more time on the very surface. Create a surface here, put a point at the very center, make sure that you use project geometry to get this circle to turn green so you can use it and find the center point, and then you use the hole feature to drill into this hole. After you get that done, you are 100% done with the wheel. Congratulations, that is definitely one of the more difficult parts in all of the model train project.